Hey, so this is an introduction on how to use variables in Java, and I'll walk you through the different types of variables that there are. So first, let's create another Java project to run another program, and let's call this Intro to Variables. And let's use Java SE 1.8. You can use later versions, but I just like to use this one because this is what APCSA uses. So let's call this one variables. Remember, we need a class to run the program, and you usually want to create a main, because that's where the computer looks to start running your program, from the main. So let's just clean this up a little bit. Okay, so let's start off with a variable type called string. So a string is something that you use to enter in text, right? If you want to enter in hi or something, you want to use a string. So let's call this. So first, you want to have the type of variable when you're declaring a variable, or when you're telling the program, hey, I want a new variable. You always want to first say the type of the variable, and the name of the variable. Let's call this my string. This is called the variable declaration. So I'm saying I want a string called my string, and then we initialize the variable or give it a value. So let's call my string. Let's say it's equal to. For strings, you always want to have quotation marks to specify that it's text, and let's say it's equal to this is my string. So because I'm saying that my string is holding the value, this is my string. Remember, you always want a semicolon at the end. So let's say if I want to print it, I want to say system dot out dot print line. Remember, my string, and then I run the program. I get this is my string. Right. So next, we have a variable called car. Remember, you want to have a name after it, my car, and that's essentially it stores one character. For characters, you want to use these single quotation thingies, and you can only have one character inside, and I could say just A. That's the value of my car. So I could just say my car. And something else you might want to know is if I enter in 2 forward slashes, I can make a line of comment, right? So the program just skips over that line. So you can see if I run it and get A, it no longer prints out my string. So next type of variable there is called is an integer, right? Or an int for short. And ints can store values up to, I believe, 2 to the power of 32 or 2 to the power of 31 minus 1. And they can store negative values to the just negative values as well, to the 2 to the power negative 2 to the power of 32 or negative 2 to the power of 31. I forgot that, but it usually is fine. So let's declare the integer called my int equals it's a number, right? So I can enter 55. That's the value of my integer. Let's copy this. My int. You can see that it prints out an integer right here, 55. And another type is called long. So long is essentially a bigger my int. It can store more memory. So long can store up to 2 to the power 64 minus 1 as the largest value, and let's call this my long. You can say 55 is the same thing as integer basically, but it can just store larger values and smaller values, I guess. So let's see that I both get a 55, and to show you the difference between the sizes of both, I'll show you my integer, the parse int. Oh no, not the parse int. I'm sorry. Integer dot max value here. And let's do, which gives me the max value for integer, and long max value as well. And if I run it, you can see the difference between long and integer, how much each one can store. Usually you don't need longs like super huge values, so people usually like to use int to save storage. But now that computers are a lot faster, they can store a lot more memory. You can start using a long, but it's just more usual to just use integer for most of the numbers that you store. Next one is called a float or double. So floats or doubles can store decimals, right? Integers can only store whole numbers. So essentially a float is like just a shorter double. You usually always want to use a double, right, instead of a float, because a double has more precision, and like it just you usually want to avoid using floats, because floats you can get a lot of errors because it's not very precise. So let's call this my double, and I can my double. Let's call that 0.055, and I believe, yeah, I have it in my, okay, my double, and let's just run it like a 0.055. So there's also a Boolean, which is it stores true or false statements, right? If I wanted to say Boolean my bool, I guess, equals true, I could say, or Boolean my false bool equals false. It stores either true or false, and those are just for like using if statements and stuff. I'll get to that later. So it just is a way to store true or false. Let's see. I think that's basically it for all of the values that you need to know. First, these are the most common values. Yeah, these are the most common values that you would usually need to know. This is just basic values, and yeah, see you later.